Hello and welcome back to Jazzonomics. In today's episode I will look at Steely Dan, John Martyn, Millie Jackson, UHQR releases on Analogue Productions, and I will also touch upon my economic philosophy and economic model. Money is fairly hard to earn, but very easy to spend, and obviously earning money involves going to work, and most people's jobs, I would imagine, are fairly unpleasant and intolerable. I have a job at Withybush Hospital. I only work 18 hours a week, so I've done some sort of financial sums, and I'm thinking if I do 18 hours a week, it will give me enough to have a fairly comfortable lifestyle without being extravagant. In fact, my lifestyle is not extravagant in the slightest. So I just do what I have to do and absolutely no more. I'm a nurse, by the way, and I've been doing this particular job for 20 years and it's okay. No more than that. But I think if, irrespective of what my job was, I could be playing for Tottenham on a Saturday and I could be on stage with Bruce Springsteen on a Wednesday night and I'd probably still get bored with it. I value my freedom and my time too much. Freedom and time, they are two things that you cannot put a price on. There are also an awful lot of things that you out there will do that I don't do. I don't have any children. I have 3 dogs. I don't have Sky TV, BT TV. I don't have Netflix. I did have Amazon Prime for a bit, but I had a problem with the telly and it just sort of disappeared. I'm not missing much. It's very poor. I don't go on holiday. I don't drink out. I don't eat out. I am sounding like such a bundle of laughs. I put so much store on my freedom and my time. What I do doesn't really vary from day to day. I don't want you thinking that I earn a great deal of money or I have an awful lot of money in the bank, because I don't, because I would guarantee that most of you out there will be earning far more than me, but my outgoings are very minimal. And I've mentioned my fashion choices in the past. I don't spend an awful lot of money on clothing. Most of them are from charity shops. And when you're on your deathbed in those very last moments, I very much doubt what you are wishing that you had done in your life was spent more hours in work. That is the sermon over with for a moment. I'm going to move on to an album by Steely Dan. Before I was sort of properly immersed in jazz, I suppose Steely Dan was something of a gateway drug into the world of jazz. There are an awful lot of jazz rock bands out there. You think of Weather Report, Steely Dan, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, Billy Cobham, artists such as that. And I looked online today. I've been thinking about looking at these Analogue production LPs for quite some time now and giving you my views on them. I've never heard one because the price, to my mind, is somewhat nonsensical. I've written this down from the Analogue Productions website, and it is a UHQR Analogue Productions version of Steely Dan's Royal Scam, which was released in 1976. The vinyl has been lovingly crafted and specially selected. The album is spread over 4 sides. Each slab of vinyl is at least £1.50. There is a special cleaning cloth that comes with this album. It is made from the hide of a freshly massaged Kobe beef cattle. There is also a cleaning solution that is made from orphan's tears, but not just any old orphan's tears from a war zone, and there is an anti-static brush which is a freshly slaughtered swan's wing. Now, this album and the accoutrements that accompany it is £200 on pre-order. What I've just read there is absolute nonsense, but £200, that strikes me as somewhat more fantastical. It's £200 for 41 minutes of music. 41 minutes of music spread over 4 sides. Now, with some very basic maths there, so you've got 41 minutes spread over 4 sides. You carry the 1, divide by 4. Yeah, it's about 10 and a bit minutes each side. Now, an awful lot of Steely Dan fans and jazz fans will probably be the wrong side of 50. And you will be getting up and down every 10 and a bit minutes. Every 10 and a bit minutes to turn the record over. Your eyes aren't what they were. You'll be looking around for your glasses. Your knees aren't what they were. You'll probably have, you might have carpal tunnel problems. You may have nerve damage in your back. You may have troublesome knees. Your neck may have lost an awful lot of its flexibility. Up and down every 10 minutes. Where's the enjoyment in that? And it is also £200. They look like they are beautifully crafted and they are wonderfully packaged, but £200. I spent £4 on my copy of the Royal Scam, and I had pretty much taken leave of my senses. I shall tell you why. I had quite a lot of duplicates that I took to the record shop in town that I paid virtually nothing for, and I probably made about £40. And whilst I was in the record shop, I saw this copy of The Royal Scam by Steely Dan, and there are some great Steely Dan songs on here. The things that spring to mind are the Fez and the Royal Scam, elements of prog, jazz, funk. The most common song on here is probably Kid Charlemagne. And also, whilst I was flush with 40 quid in my pocket in the record shop, I bought 2 other albums. Again, one was £4 and the other was £3. I had an awful lot of John Martyn that I picked up in a job lot that I didn't pay any money for. I shall show you those in a moment. So I sort of justified the £4 expenditure on this great album released in 1973. John Martyn's Solid Air. The opening track, Solid Air, is about the singer-songwriter Nick Drake. May well be John Martyn's greatest album. It's probably his most consistent album, but there is pretty stiff competition from some of the ones that I'll tell you about in a moment. John Martyn straddles, he's very difficult to classify. He straddles jazz, blues, folk. There are elements of reggae in some of his work. A totally unique artist. There was a very good documentary on him on the iPlayer. I think it might be called Johnny Too Bad. He comes across as a complete arse, and from what I've read and I've heard about him, very, very difficult. Drugs, drink, died young, pain in the arse, but a very, very talented artist. And the album that I paid £3 for is a soul classic, Millie Jackson, Caught Up. There are two great Millie Jackson albums called Caught Up and Still Caught Up, and on this song the high point to my mind is the 10-minute opener cum triumvirate of If I'm Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right, and then there's a rap, and then there is a reprise. 10 or 11 minutes of sustained brilliance. Three great albums. If I were to pick my favourite Steely Dan album, I think there's possibly only one answer, and it would be Countdown to Ecstasy. It contains great stuff like My Old School and Showbiz Kids, which Super Furry Animals sampled on The Man Don't Give an F, who was about, I think, possibly a Cardiff City footballer. I need to check out his Robin Friday. That was his name. It's just come to me. I should have checked it up before I came on here, but it's just popped into my head. Robin Friday, I think. He may well have played for Cardiff. Drinker, difficult character, I think died young. Apparently a complete maverick and extremely talented footballer. Great compilation that. Super Furry Animals, Songbook, the singles. I think The Man Don't Give a F. I don't think it features on any Super Furry Animals studio album. Quickly show you the John Martyn stuff that I picked up for absolutely nothing that justified my purchase of Solid Air for £4. I went to a car boot sale a few weeks after this and I saw it for £2, but in fairness it wasn't in such good condition as the one from Terminal Records in Haverfordwest. And the John Martyn albums that I picked up for absolutely nothing were Glorious Fool, On the Cobbles, Patterns in the Rain, Studio / Live 75 to 79, Glasgow Walker, a brilliant island anthology, Sweet Little Mystery. I would probably suggest that if the studio albums are a little too much for you. John Martyn's One World, which I actually got from a charity shop. This was 10p. Who throws that out for 10p? Complete madness. Bless the Weather, magnificent album. Sunday's Child, another great album. I think this was 1974. John and Beverly Martyn, The Road to Ruin, and another one that I really do recommend is John Martyn's London Conversation. I think there's an awful lot of upright bass playing on Solid Air, and the bass player I think is Danny Thompson. That's quite enough for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. This was Jazzonomics.